All right, let's bring the Wednesday, August 25th, 2021 regular meeting in Dune City Council to order. Roll call, please.
Mayor Forsyth,
Here.
Council President Meyer,
Present.
Councilor Snow, here, Councilor Mellon,
Here.
Councilor Wells,
Here.
Councilor Hammond,
Here.
and Councilor Orr didn't call to tell me he wasn't going to be here, but I
Missing in
suspect
action.
he might not be. Yeah, he's missing in it.
All right, would you all join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, please? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. At this time, I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda. So moved. Second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, it passes. This time I entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Point of order,
Yes.
it includes amended bills of the session.
Yes.
So moved as amended.
There you go. Second. Any conversation? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that's approved. Announcements, Jamie?
Charter Spectrum has announced that on or around September 13th, investigation discovery on channels 63, 134 SD, and 858 HD will be swapping the East Coast feed for the West Coast feed. Also received notice from Charter today. They will be installing fiber optics on Dunebrae in the near future, so they will be having to stop traffic on Clear Lake Road and affect traffic a little bit there. And I don't know exactly when that is. We did receive a thank you letter from Robert Tintle, the Lane County Treasurer and Financial Services Manager, for assigning the city's CARE Act funds to Lane County.
I see no citizen input, as I see no citizens here, so that's
No, there's
probably
nothing on there.
presentation from Richard Grayling. Before Mr. Grayling starts, just a note of clarification is Rick and I have worked together years ago. We've had no true business dealings together. We have had a private dealing only in that I sold him a pickup truck once, but other than that, he's a colleague and I count him as a friend.
Thank you, Bob. Appreciate it.
Richard, you're up.
Okay, thank you, commissioners and administrators, for your time this evening. I'd like for you to envision an innovative, affordable float housing pad floating into Dune City. Apparently, we're having a little difficulty here. I'm trying to get through all this, and I'm not sure why I'm.
Our technology is not the best.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to be clicking when it's supposed to go to the next one, so I'm not really sure exactly how I'm going to do this.
There it goes.
Let's try this again.
It's a really beautiful picture now. Now it went back to the beginning. There it goes. There it goes.
Okay. So, some of the challenges, we all have the same challenges all up and down the coast. I've identified, most people have identified affordable housing is a problem.
Does that help?
Retaining and attracting
That's
youth
better.
and sustainable jobs that last year round. There's a lot of jobs around that come seasonal, but there's nothing that really comes around that's something that's sustainable that might go into the future. These affordable float homes will cost $120,000 with a $15,000 tax assessment fee that goes directly to the city. That'll help the city pay down some of the infrastructure costs and grant that might have to be part of this infrastructure. Total purchase price of $135,000. That's real affordable housing, right? There's nothing anywhere here or anywhere that I can identify that has has something like this type of price. So the houses will be built with traditional framing, tongue and groove siding, and the benefit is that these things will use less than 25% of the lumber that's currently being used. As you can see in the animation, it's basically a trailer covered and protected with a wood outside. Inside is a pre-built trailer. They've already got a built-in sanitation system for safety, and they're connected with mounts that make them adjustable so they can carry the load based on what you put inside the unit. The floats that hold these things up are already Corps of Engineer approved, and in fact they're being used all over the world. Each one will hold 5,700 pounds. The whole float dock will hold 45,000 pounds. It's enough to put 2 float homes on top of one, and there still wouldn't be water inside. So they're going to be safe. They're going to be no chance for them sinking. They basically plug into a utility pedestal and have sewage that run right up to upshore, and on land is where the stuff is provided. The infrastructure I mentioned for the city would be each individual home purchase would pay for this particular infrastructure. That particular infrastructure would basically build the dock by itself as the houses are sold or built. Each individual one would take its individual slip. Oh, now all of a sudden it's going to start going crazy on me, I guess. Oh, I'm not sure how to get out of this. The exterior is going to be tongue and groove siding, like I said, but it's going to be with a technique called Shoshugiban. It's basically charred wood. They do this in Japan. It's been used for centuries. It increases the wood by as much as 80 years. So this is now, I mean, there's millions of people that live in trailers right now across the country, and they're not protected from the weather. They still last 60, 70 years. These could potentially last 80 plus years. It's rot resistant, bug resistant, and they're beautiful as well. The interiors are already ready to go. These things are plug and play. Because there's already a pre-built unit inside of it, everything's ready to go. I could deliver it fully furnished or empty if you want to bring in your own furniture. They use a fraction of the power, they use a fraction of the water. Everything in them are low flow, and they're all really low power needs on these. They plug in, they use 50 amp watts. A normal site at, say, Coast Village in Florence has 200 amps. So this is real sustainability. This is now, we've reduced the lumber, we've reduced the power needs. This is getting to a place where people can actually get to affordable housing. So let me show you how this might work for you guys. If Dune City, we could do a multi-governmental agency, and these are projects that Bob and I have worked on before. So although that may sound daunting, they're not doable. It's nothing different than what you're already doing, writing grants and doing administrative paperwork. If, for instance, we put in a 50 slip marina, this would be enough for 50 homes. In addition, it would allow you to have approximately 20 moorage sites that you guys could also rent out as moorage for additional fees or income. The state might possibly be interested in putting in a water treatment, or at least helping with that. The Oregon State Marine Board might be interested in helping this happen, because the benefit to them is that every float home would be licensed through OSMB, so they would get their return on investment. The state, we could put a water treatment plant, say here or somewhere in the map, and possibly put a connector road that now connects the north community to the south community. There could also be another addition road that comes in here. So the reason why all this stuff would be important is because right now, currently, the evacuation plan for this area is to meet here at this gather area. But that means that everybody's gonna have to go out onto the highway, drive down the highway, come back in. It's not a very realistic plan. And in fact, I think the state might think this is a little more realistic. It gives people a better place to gather. And right now, even at the gathering site, there's no water, there's no services. So this would actually provide water and services, and it would add additional parking that might be necessary in case of emergency. Oregon Float Homes has done, started out as 2, because of COVID, it's now been 4 years of research. And I've looked into all of these things: market analysis, design drawings, applicable state planning goals, all the types of laws that we might need to have to overcome to get something like this to happen. And they all appear to be in line with what we would be trying to do. Our market, of course, would be young adults, seniors, retirees, downsizing parents. To sell 50 homes in an area for $120,000 is not a stretch for anybody. And we might actually be able to retain a lot of the youth that have to leave. You know, as soon as they grow up here, they all have to go away because there's no jobs. You know, most of the good jobs are grandfathered into the people that are going to keep them as long as they can. The total area market, there's currently, these are old figures on the top figure, 123 million people. There's probably 130 or more million people in the United States that live on the coastline. They live on the coastline because they love having the ocean nearby, the nature, and that type of stuff. The Florence local market is 15,000 approximately if you cover the whole area. So our market share to get 50 units sold and fill a village like this, we're talking about less than 1/3 of 1%. And housing is an all-time demand. I mean, it's not something that would be an easy thing to do. So here's some of the community benefits you could expect from a project like this. It's clean water, it's affordable housing, it's home loans, it's licensing for OSMB, it's re-envisioning and reinvigorating Dune City, a beautiful place that with a little bit of addition to the Westlake area, it might become some, you know, a future fishing village, a little cottage getaway, you know. We've already got the dunes here, but there's no accommodations, so all the accommodations are going away to somebody else nearby. Our competition, there's nobody that sells affordable float homes. A lot of people, when you have water, they think of, oh, well, we want yachts, we want a big, beautiful place. Well, yachts need this kind of stuff to back them up. They, you know, they need hotels and stuff. That's not going to happen around here. And really it shouldn't, because we have a really delicate environment around here, and we want to keep it that way. This is something that would have a soft footprint. It wouldn't affect anything, and I've looked into all the zoning and stuff that makes this feasible. Like I said, the demand for affordable housing is at an all-time high. My team has the skill set to make this happen. We understand the processes that we're going to have to go through. It's not easy by any means. It's going to take a lot of processing through a lot of organizations, DSL, DEQ, NOAA. There's going to be a lot of people that will have input. But anything that's worth having is hard. That's the way we get accomplishments done. Here's some potential future added value for Dune City. If, for instance, you guys own this marina and you rent out morages, these are current prices in Portland. And although those aren't the prices here, it's just around the corner. The houses didn't used to cost $400,000 in this area, and they do now. So it's only a matter of time before mortgage fees are going to get to something like this. In addition, there's homeowners association fees. So 50 homes, you guys could collect homeowners association fees, which would help your city to also fund administrative staff needs in the future, in addition to anything else that your city might want to do. You guys would now actually have a fund that generates money for you guys. Like I said, the research shows that it's scalable, it's movable, the materials are readily available. Almost all of the materials for these float homes would come from Oregon. It would be something that we would try to keep local. There's only a couple components in the whole home that have to be outsourced. Everything else comes from here. Our needs going forward currently right now, I've been working with a bunch of organizations. I'm currently trying to open the home and the business and create the first prototype. After I get that done, and I'm closing in on that, so we're getting closer to that actually happening. It's difficult to make a prototype. It's not like something I just walk up and show somebody. It's a big unit, and I've now obtained a build site and now have a place to build it. So we have the shop going, it's ready, we're in the right zoning, we're ready to get that going. And like I said, we're getting close on this. The phase 2 would be the work from you guys. If you guys would have to start doing some paperwork, and my team would help with all this. Would help every step of the way. It would take support from the state, Lane County, Dune City. It would take support from OSMB, And money's available for projects if you can show that it's going to be something that's going to be a benefit or return. These are the people that I've been working with for the last couple of years. We had a hiatus for a while because of COVID. Ariel Rubin is the venture catalyst from RAIN, and she got the whole project started. I've worked with Austin Ramirez at Lane County Development, and he's real eager for me to find a home for this project. Ron Green has put a lot of great input into this project, and Noah Gadani is actually part of our team. He's going to be the Chief Financial Officer. He's got a master's degree from the University of Oregon. He's a native plant expert. He's lived here. That's what his business does, is Pacific Northwest specialty, and he studied all over the world on water and landscaping. So a lot of the difficult procedures it's going to take to get through, his skills are going to be necessary. I've built over 1,000 trailers myself in the past, and I've worked for Port St. Lucie doing similar documentation that would be needed for this. Jessica currently runs an Airbnb. She's run one for about 6 years. She's hosted over 200 people from 9 countries. And so her marketing skills, she brings the new generation marketing skills that some of us older people aren't quite as sharp at. She knows all these little ins and outs of all the little marketing networks that are on the internet. And Tammy is over 25 years retail experience, and she's a real sales-oriented person. She has a lot of experience in the same types of things that we'll be doing. So we have a team that's ready to hit the ground running, and we just hope that you guys would consider a project like this. What I'd be willing to do is, if you guys are interested in hearing some of the feasibility and how it would be something you guys might be able to roll out, I could have another presentation ready for you at whatever time you guys might want. Again, I want to thank you for your time, and I just wanted to let you know that Jamie has my contact information. Bob still does. We're friends, like you mentioned. And so if anybody would like to contact me about any questions they might have about a project like this, feel free to call me. And thanks again for your time.
Thank you.
Do you have, Richard,
Yes.
Councilor Wells, do you have any kind of literature available that we can?
Well,
Study?
actually, you know what, I'll tell you what I'll do, Commissioner. I'll go on the website, I'll find you guys' websites, and I'll shoot over some of the information. One of the things, I didn't want to drag too much of your time out tonight, and I really appreciate the time you've given me, but the state of Oregon has already written the guides for these. This isn't even something that this city would have to go, oh, what are we going to do with all the rules and regulations? It's going on. It's been going on up in Portland. So there's a big project up at Scappoose. They put in a big millions of dollars into the research. There was also a law review study done in Virginia, and it's all by the same agencies that we would have to get through as well. So I'd forward that information to you guys. You guys could see a little bit of how things like that might work, the things that cities might have a concern with. In fact, I wrote up a whole list of concerns that a city might have. And they're not all good for me. So I'm being honest with you guys and telling you what the concerns might be.
Are we allowed, this is just a presentation, are we going to have questions, or can we ask questions?
Yes.
Okay, I'm Councilor Hammond. I noticed that you said they had sewage in septic. How are they going to be taken care of? How are they going to be pumped and things like that?
So if any one of you guys want to just take a jaunt down to Florence and take a look at the Port of St. Lucie, the Port of St. Lucie has a setup that's exactly appropriate for something like this. And in fact, they have the setup, except for that they're not set up to individually connect each site. So at the Port of St. Lucie, they've got dump pump outs. They have a machine there that basically pumps it up to the city. It goes through a machine up there, and then the city puts it into their sewer.
We don't have sewer.
Right, that's where the water treatment plant is going to come in. So basically, we're going to.
Well, you said water treatment. That's sewer treatment is different. Isn't that different than water treatment? So, yeah.
Well, they're basically two different things, and neither one of those are my expertise.
Okay.
Those are the things that we would have to get with the state and find out what kind of things might be available. There's a system for every place. It's just that I haven't identified exactly what might be the best here.
I did a quick multiplication, and this is $6.2 million or $7 million.
6.7. So 6.7 gets 50 homes, and then if that's something, you know, one of the things I did point out is if Dune City might consider actually buying these homes. If you bought and owned them, here's one of the beautiful things about floating homes in the state of Oregon. Every state has different laws. Our state, the law is that the first purchaser buys a recreation vehicle. After it's sold, it now becomes real property that's taxable. So if Dune City bought the village and the homes, they wouldn't even be taxable to you guys.
So I have two images of floating homes. One is Hayden Island in Portland, and I know that there's a whole bunch of storage or garages that people have their cars to, and then they have to move all their stuff to the building. So there's the infrastructure and the parking infrastructure, and then there's these very expensive homes. And then I have the vision over at Ada, there's 3 floating homes over there, or 4, and they're pretty, but one's really derelict and things like that. So
I actually just spoke about that to one of my colleagues, about the one down at Taganich. There's also, there's a couple of beauties down here, yeah. And this is one of the things that also the state and the United States is trying to get cities to do. They want cities to be proactive and not reactive. There's legalities that some people have a hard time getting over. For instance, if you bring in a boat that can carry 20,000 pounds and you put a 20,000 pound ugly trailer on top of it, that's still legal. As long as it has a legal license on it, that's legal. So they're hoping that people start getting a little proactive. No matter what float homes are coming. It may not come to your community. You guys may make regulation that says it's not even going to be allowed here. And that's more than within your rights. But if you be proactive on this, there's a lot in it for you. There's a good carrot for you guys, and it would leave I mean, what's going to be your legacy here? It would leave you something that would actually make a big difference in this community. So thanks for your time. And if, like I said, if you guys have follow-up questions, I'll give my email. Jamie's got my email too, and you guys can shoot me questions, any question you might have about something like that. Thanks again for your time.
Thank you, Richard. Thanks. Old business. Directive of staff. Go ahead.
In your packets, you have a handout. Here we go. It's labeled possible uses of the CSLFR funds. Everybody find that?
Yep.
Okay. These are some ideas. We received a check for $156,059 today. So the money is here, and it's restricted on what we can spend it on. So these are some ideas. I'm just throwing them out there.
Okay.
But I have the actual regulations here, so if you have an idea, I can check and see whether that falls under the possibilities.
I'm sorry, didn't get the amount of money?
Right now, we got our first check, which is half of it. It's 156,000 and some dollars. So it will be 312,000 something by the time we get it all.
Okay.
So one of the things that I noticed when I saw this possible list, there were no estimates of what the costs would be that you were thinking of for these lists.
That's because it costs so much to do the estimates. I don't want to spend money until the time comes.
Yeah,
If, you know, unless
so
somebody
if
says
there's
they're
no ballpark figures, and if we know that we get $350,000 and we pick a $6 million project, you know, that's why I kind of wish we had just a number.
Guesstimates.
Yes, some guesstimates. They don't need to be
I have no
detailed
clue.
studies and things like that, but that was my only thought, and I kind of share that thought with Sheldon.
We're not gonna decide on these tonight or prioritize them right now, are we?
We have to make a decision. The money has to be spent quickly.
So Okay.
So, no, not tonight, but it does have to be spent
When does the other half come in?
next August, I believe, or it might be 2 years, I can't remember.
So do we have to have expended the 156 before?
I don't know.
Okay.
My guess is yes, or at least have a plan.
This didn't come with dice to throw to see which ones are.
No, it just came with obligations for reporting.
The proactive 8-ball.
I read through this one, like, just looking through it, just like, I just scanned over it, but now that I'm looking at this, I think that we need to really sit down and look these over and think about each one of them, and possibly have a special meeting here quick and in a hurry.
Well, I agree with you, Duke. I think we should get some boxing gloves and sit down and talk about what our goals are and figure it out and
Yeah.
do it in a, with,
Yeah,
I agree with you.
Yeah.
you know, I mean, just take a night even.
Even
Just
here,
to
that'd be
digest
good.
it.
I mean,
Yeah.
now or what it needs to be done, because that's part of the goal setting. And,
Yeah.
and I agree with you 100%. You're right.
Okay, I would point out on that, you have information on what the goals are in your packets tonight, because in the financial documents, I broke down the expenses by goal, when they were spent on a goal, let's just put it that way. I can't find it now, if I did it.
I saw that too. See where it was.
It says, it's after bills of, receipts of the session. So you'll have that, so you'll be able to see those while you're looking at these things. So,
Yeah, we'll go through together.
Yeah. No, we just took it where money's at. I'm thinking about this.
Can the money be used to put in more of the meters that we have?
put in the meters.
We have meters?
Water
Yeah.
meters.
We do have meters, I'm not sure, I'll have to look at that one. I mean, you may be able to budget and say it's part of the improvements to a water district.
So if we,
But they're more inclined to build an actual water system than they are for,
Well, I don't want to do that, but I'm just saying that what we have,
Yeah.
things to do, let's try and finish something.
You sent out this thing about us going to look at roads and things of that sort. This money couldn't be used for some of that infrastructure, sealing roads and things of that sort. I walked some of them and we got to talk about, I want to talk to you about what we're supposed to look for and things like that. But is that money acceptable for things like that? We have,
oh, okay. Well, I didn't figure you wanted to read the whole thing.
yes,
Yeah, there's
well, you see,
But you can't use it for,
roadway and
yeah,
something.
but that says
you
to
can't
the
in your
Westlake
business
area.
district, only in your business districts, because it's supposed to improve business for the city, it's supposed to bring in people.
Okay.
And, so that's the key, it's gotta be linked to somebody who has lost money because of COVID. That's the thing to remember.
So the Watts property lost money, so we're gonna build an apartment, I mean, I'm looking at the
Well,
possible uses, so,
It's reasonable to, well, they're under, it's also good for people who can't afford things. You can improve they don't have a septic system, they don't have a water system, they bring in water, they use a porta potty.
okay,
So, it was like,
I got you, okay.
they're one of our worst ones. So. And also, they're the first thing you see when you come down Pacific Avenue to go into Westlake, is this, yeah, there's bushes, but you can still see. That one, and I'll admit, that one was out there, but it was just something that crossed my mind.
Well, I agree with having maybe a special session so that we had some time to study these
Yeah,
and not try and do it
that's
tonight.
what I
Yeah,
I think it's important to do this if you get this money, but I think we need to mull this over a little bit and then come and, like I say, fight it out.
Each of us maybe set our own priorities from the
Goal
possible
setting.
uses and the,
right.
the goals that are setting there.
Well, see, some of the current budgets that I see, they're mainly, it seems like a maintenance sort of thing, and we have to write grants to do improvements. Well, here you have money to do some improvements for some of the goals that we really need to have. And so I think it's an opportune time to do that.
I see number 5 jumps out at me, just, I think improving technology at City Hall is important. I think Dune City has lost money during this COVID, so I think we qualify for that.
Oh, I was thinking 5 would tie with 12 too.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
5 and what as well?
5 and 12 are kind
Yeah,
of mutually
yeah,
exclusive.
you see that, I'm smiling at that because my idea of broadband and installing that infrastructure is kind of one of those gritty, feel-good words. Well, I happen to think that the broadband service that Spectrum provides for Dune City is probably better than some. I mean, you get 400 megabits of service and things of that sort. We might have a problem with certain phone cell services, but we have a lot of infrastructure that's provided by a company that pays dues to us now, pays fees to it. And I think that's kind of one of those feel-good things, because we have the infrastructure. I mean, you plug in, you put a cable in here and we have it. I don't think that $350,000 worth of stuff. I mean, you're talking peanuts to do the infrastructure here.
Right.
So I'm not thinking of spending all the money on one thing.
Well, no, but I'm saying that we have some serious issues to talk about that I think that it's roads, it's drinking water and the infrastructure and things like that. Those things are big ticket items that we've talked about, and those are the things that we should really, and I would hate to just spend money just for the little ticky-tack things that can be taken up with our general stuff and things. I mean, we really should, this is things that we can do really strategically that I think we get the most benefit, the biggest bang.
That's why we need to discuss it.
Right, that's why we need
I'm
discussion.
just saying it,
Right.
things tie together,
Yep.
and we need to look at them as tying things together instead of just a bunch of separate things.
Right.
But all the money doesn't have to go to one thing either.
I agree with you.
So let's go ahead and move forward, and Jamie, if you can put us together a special session, I really appreciate it.
You're gonna ask me about that on my trip and make it bad.
Can someone
Make
suggest
sure
a
it's when
month?
Rory is on vacation.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we've got. But October is coming and we lose Duke.
I mean, I'm good anytime. I just wanted to kind of look it over tonight. We can do it anytime you want.
Sure.
We can do it first next week or something.
Oh, yeah. It doesn't have to be-
I'll have to find, I'm not available first next week, but you guys don't need me, I suppose.
Well, I think if you publish something like that, I'd sure like to get some public input, but on the other hand, I'd like to be able to talk to you guys and duke it about strategy and things, so it's kind of a mixed, it needs to be done, we need to spend time on it.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I don't want to rush to do it.
Yeah, I agree with you.
yeah.
Well, what about a two-pronged approach? What if you guys have a special meeting, or call it a work session, and then in the future we get a better turnout when we have Zoom meetings. People participate, so if you advertise it well, there's a chance that we'd get a good turnout at a Zoom meeting. And we'll have some training before then, and I'll be a little bit more helpful in trying to get all the information to you in the step-by-step of how to do it.
So, and if somebody has some really crazy radical idea that gets everybody up in arms, that would be a great thing, because then it'd show up.
Yes,
and then we
then
can
they
decide.
come.
Yeah,
We have a lot more Zoomies in
Yeah.
the city than other places.
yeah, okay.
city-owned marijuana plant.
Bait and switch.
Yeah,
A bakery, that'll,
that also takes care of the septic tanks. All right, moving on. Let's see, new business. Rate increase from South Coast Water, how'd that go?
Well, it was fine. There will be another meeting in the future. The request for increase has been withdrawn. So it's, you know, if they're gonna do a request for increase, they have to start all over again and file a new application.
Good.
He did at the meeting identify the concerns of the people, and then had the people put stickers on, and he made a list on a board, and then people went out and put the stickers on the ones, the three top that they thought were most important.
Yeah.
And of course, race was number one. He talked about the possibility of doing some sort of ramping it up, or, you know, anyway, it didn't result in anything, but the assurance that there will be another meeting when they go back and do some more looking at their records and
So
crunching numbers.
I attended that meeting. I kind of wish we saw a few more counselors, but on the other hand, the mayor pointed out he was afraid about group meetings and things of that sort. And my take from it is that we do have an infrastructure problem. And I know that there's 93 people on the system, and it sounds like their income's about $49,000 a year if you do the quick math. And so I wonder how they make money. And I know that he wants to do expansions, but he didn't get a response of people say outside there who really wanted to hook up to the system or the expansion. So that it was interesting, and he didn't commit that. I mean, he talked to people, but there's going to be a rate increase, and it might be a high one. Even you know, he talked about communications and things like that, but I'm sure that there's going to be a big thing. It also brought a thought to my mind by listening to these people. We talk about infrastructure. There was a fellow behind me, said was it $17,000 he spent for a dry well? And I heard somebody said they spent $14,000 for salt water or something like that. And so there's costs that citizens are doing, and so there's going to be issues with that. And I've lost my train of thought when I got off on that tangent. I apologize. But it's going to be money. And I know what I was going to say is the big thing is we have water rights that we're going to lose or not lose, and we need to monetize that. We charge people $100 a year to do the administrative costs and things of that sort. Well, I would probably like to see that $100 change to usage. You know, if they use 20,000 gallons a year, I don't know, it's just some number that's $100, and anything over is more. And the reason why I thought about that is because the water district takes so much water, and they service 93 people. And we ought to make that figure out to be about $93 or whatever it is, or $100 for each one of those people. So for our administrative rights, but also it's a way to maybe do the infrastructure that we probably need. And I know the mayor doesn't think we have infrastructure. I know because we talk about wells, everybody has wells and things of that sort. But there's a cost there, and I've heard about it's the type of driller you have and things like that. It's not just that; it's far more complicated, I think, than just wells or not wells. And it's about growth and things of that sort, and purity of water and all that. So if we're going to really show the state that we're interested in keeping our water rights, we need to do some things actively. And maybe one of the things is to modify it by usage so people can put water systems in, and because we get money for that, and so we can manage it and put it for an infrastructure for other things.
The problem with that, though, is there are people who are contractually have agreed to pay the $100, period, and not usage tied to it at all. And so I see lawsuits, big time, coming to the city. Now, if it were on an audit or a forward-going basis where, you know, we grant the rights to someone based on usage, new home going up, totally different story. But what we
And is
have-
that contract $100 a year or a month? Is it a contract, or is that's just what we've been doing by tradition?
It's a contract.
It's actually code, Dune City code.
So that's not a contract, but that's our code, so that's something that can be modified through public hearings and process and things like that, so.
But you
I
can't
just-
go back and move the goalpost to those who have already met that code back in whenever.
Yes, the council can change the code at any time and raise the rates at any
Well,
time.
that's the thing, that's part of the discussion, and it could,
Would it go over good?
or not, or does it make sense?
I see
Because
lawsuits.
we talk, I don't, I care about, what I see is people wanting to put, communities in or water systems in, and we give one water right to somebody that's for 100 people behind there.
That's new construction or new ideas and new
Or-
development. Yeah, totally agree.
So that, so if you're already in there, we're not gonna, if you make it usage, it's still about the same rate. I'm not trying to up it, I'm just trying to figure a way to make, so we can,
Going forward.
that was my thought. It was an interesting meeting, and there was a lot of emotion, and it kind of died down a little bit, but I know that it didn't fix the thing that they're gonna change the rates, since they're gonna be.
I'm sure we're gonna be hearing more for some time.
Yeah.
Jamie, updating the information required for water rates then? Is this where we're still trying to get people to read their meters and tell us what that is? Is that the same?
No, there is a requirement for every person who uses Dune City's shared domestic water right to install a fish screen.
Oh, that's when you were talking about where divers would need to go down some of it.
Right, because a fish screen is not just what it comes with your pump. There's a little
Right.
screen that's usually a 1/16 screen that comes with your pump.
Right.
That is not a fish screen. A fish screen is anything from 2 to 4 feet long, 2 to 4 inches around, wrapped with a mesh that's less than 1/32. It's like 0.90 something, it's 0.09 something, I can't remember.
So the fish aren't getting caught in the suction of the, is that what this is?
Well, yes, and so you don't lose pressure in the house.
Right.
So, that's why we've got this long thing out there doing this. So the fish screens are mandated by the terms of our permit. Every diversion is supposed to have one, that's what the permit says. So, of course, people are up at arms because they're, a lot of them don't live here, what are they gonna do? But we're coming along. I do hope to have either a video on the website or at least a class here at City Hall with Fish and Wildlife doing the instruction on how to build your own, so that people don't have to pay the $350 to go and get one made or and then somebody has to install them.
Right.
So one thing came to mind is, how many fish do they think they're gonna save by this?
I have no idea, and it doesn't really matter.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the thing to consider is this long sock, this 2 to 4 foot long sock with 1/32 inch or less holes is gonna be laying in the silt or the mud of the lake,
Clog up.
as opposed to being suspended like the pumps presently are. Pumps are sitting on a stand. You set that sock down with that small hole down in the mud and the silt, that house is gonna be out of water and it's gonna burn up the pump. That's my concern, is, because that becomes the inlet. That sock is now your inlet.
It gets set on something.
Ours in our system is up off the
Right,
bank,
yeah.
off the bottom.
Sock is-
Yeah,
How far up?
about 4 feet, 3 feet, 4 feet.
So I don't think that the crud that might get stuck in there and then get plugged up, even if it's not sitting in the silt, because, you change the filters, there's
Yeah,
standard things in
that's
there.
true. There
So-
are things you can buy to clean it up.
Yeah.
So when would he be able to come in and explain
And it
it?
seems to work.
I don't know. They just offered to do it. We haven't set up anything because I don't know when.
Yeah,
Our diver is currently diving. gathering the information.
Okay.
And I have established the database and I'm putting the information into the
That
database.
actually might be a good kind of town hall meeting type of thing.
Yes, it would. I mean, just get the word out there that, you know, you really don't, a lot of people are willing to pay. They don't care. Just get it done, get it over with. But
Give me
others
one.
cannot.
Right.
And so,
So, yeah, I think that would be a good town hall meeting, have them come in, explain how to do it,
How to,
how to, what the good, you know,
yeah.
what good it does, how good it does, that type of thing.
okay.
So we
I agree.
talking about having fish and feathers here?
Yeah.
And-
Yes.
Talking to
Yeah.
everybody that wants to hear them. Sweet.
No, I was looking for things for, on the biennial budget. I thought I had put something, but I didn't. As far as I can tell, we can do this, if you guys want to.
We can do what?
Do a biannual annual budget.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we had talked about doing it every
Yeah.
2 years.
Yeah,
Right.
makes sense.
That's a biannual meeting.
Yeah.
so.
Well, depending on,
I was reading through this and not being at the last meeting. Why I don't mind the biennial budget, something that was said in the last meeting that, something about going over expenditures was not worthwhile. I think going over expenditures is still worthwhile.
I didn't say it wasn't worthwhile, it's worthwhile. I just said that we spend most of the time going over the
That's
expenditures.
not the way it reads in the minutes.
Okay.
But anyway, I think going over expenditures are worthwhile. You go over your budget every year at your home. We need to go over the budget and see where things are being spent besides doing this. I think both are worthwhile.
So I'm gonna make a motion that we go to a biannual budget and just see where everybody are. We didn't have a discussion about it instead of just thinking about it. So if we don't get a second, that's fine too.
I think it's a good idea. I'll second it.
discussion. I think, yes, go ahead.
My only concern is, well, I have a concern, but now I can't remember what it was, but it was something procedural. It was something
Yes.
procedural.
I mean, on
Was it staff time that it might require for a biannual?
It's gonna
Is that-
require the same amount regardless.
this.
Yeah, it will require the same amount.
So the process,
It's the process that's an issue.
yeah, I wanted to have a discussion about it, but we can't get together and talk about it. I can't go 100 people, so that's why I put the motion so we can talk about it.
That was what I was going to say, is I'll have to check our charter, because our charter may say it's an annual budget, in which case that would require a vote of the people to change it. So
Okay.
I'll have to double check that.
And then the only thing that I would suggest is that we put together a procedural process to make sure that our expenditures are, continually processed and looked at. It doesn't necessarily mean that.
So the issue with me is that we spend most of our meetings explaining what the budget is.
Right.
And then because we need to look at the expenditures and things. And that's like 3 or 4 meetings.
Yes.
And then after we do that, then we really do the real work on the heavy lifting. And since it's a biannual, we have, and that's what I did the last 2 times. I looked what they spent the full previous year and thought that they were, just seeing that because our job is the goal setting. What you're talking about is the auditing now. And we do need to audit it, make
You
sure
need
it's
to
right.
do both, though.
That's
I think
right.
they're both important.
But I think the goal setting, because of how we do it, it makes sense to do it biannually. Because, we don't have a tax, so we don't have to fill out a form to send to the tax assessor. And it's for the state requirement that we do those forms. I think we still have to have the discipline to look at the budget, make sure we're spending things. But I also think that making our goals every 2 years is probably reasonable, because we meet 12 times a year, so we don't have ever-changing goals like weekly.
I agree. I think it's a good idea, and just, we nail down the process and do both.
So should we table the motion until she finds out it's a charter problem?
No, I say
No,
that we
yeah.
make the motion, and if the charter undoes our motion, then it undoes our motion.
So that's an amended
Right.
No.
motion, right?
No,
Subject
yeah.
to
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
charter
there you go, subject to the charter allowing.
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, it passes. Just let us know, Jamie, on the charter.
Will do.
Thank you. Road maintenance.
In the front of your binder,
Nothing?
it sounded like there was something in here.
Because they've seen my work before.
I don't have a copy of what you're holding. I probably do in there, but I don't have it with me. No, I don't need it, that's yours. That's, those are
No, I see what you want.
individually, they're individually
So the object-
crafted.
So what is the object of this? Go over that for us.
We split the city into 6 areas and assigned each district to the councilman who was closest. Now, I think Duke, you may be a little bit, no, Duke, you're probably, somebody is beyond their area.
Right in my hood.
Yeah, somebody is beyond their area. I think it's Bob. Bob Orr is beyond his area. Sorry.
Sounds like Bob.
I call it typecasting.
And what I'm asking you each to do is drive through the area at least once a month and report problems, nothing? Okay. Problems that may occur are problems with roadways that need to be brushed or trimmed, or if there's a hole, or if it's crumbling, or if it's just in really crummy shape. And of course, recall that if there's a blue sign on the street, it's a private road, and if there's a green sign on the street, it's a public road. And all we care about are the public roads.
And if there's no sign on it, it's probably plowed on.
Yeah. It's probably cloud cover.
No kidding, that's
It is
just gone again.
Yeah, it's
It's
gone.
gone again,
It's
Jesus.
gone again.
It's been gone for a while.
I figured I wouldn't put it back until like November.
Tell the tourists again.
So I actually drove a couple, I don't know how long ago, I actually drove all the ones that was on the list. And I drove on several that's in the number 2 district, that's my district. And what occurred to me is, what things should I be looking at? And what things, for instance, I know that on Kantich, there's plants growing out of the drains.
Well, that'd be one thing you want.
No, so,
That's the storm drain
and
stuff.
I noticed that, the roads have cracks that sealant would be good, and things of that sort. So I'm not sure what exactly you're looking for, if they need
That's
to be
exactly
swept.
the kind of thing
I
I'm
think
looking
you're
at.
natural.
Yeah, so,
Perfect.
yeah.
Jamie,
Giant potholes.
what is the position of the city if we encounter a resident there who has questions about, what are you doing, why are you here? You know, because we're gonna have to drive kind of slow, and that can sometimes.
I'll call city
Alarm.
hall. You are a city councilor, tell them you have the right to be on city roads.
I give them my card and ask them to vote for Sheldon.
Actually, we just get Sheldon's cards and pass them out.
Right.
I tell them, put their mask on and get 6 feet back.
Well, I actually like doing it. It takes time, but it gives me a feeling of what the neighborhood's like.
I think it's a great idea.
Yes.
No, I
And you
do.
know, if you go out there and you see a contractor or construction or something going on a property, and you don't see an orange poster that says they have a permit, then be sure to report that.
No, I think this is a good deal.
Yeah.
I do.
Then would you propose putting the results of this monthly observations onto the agenda for the next council meeting?
Well, that's up to you guys what we do. You can either just report it to me,
To me, that
or
would
if
be,
you want it on the agenda and to shame people, you know. It wouldn't hurt my feelings, let me just put it that way.
I think that's a great idea, because then we can continually look at and hear from firsthand what we're seeing. Right.
Right, and you know, if you use a street number, or just say the street, people aren't necessarily going to say, oh, I know who that is,
Right.
you know.
Okay. Yeah, and any damage to asphalt or
Right.
whatever, and,
And drainage too.
And drainage,
You
yeah.
know, if you see the drain, I mean, it's not like I have a crew to go take care of it,
sure.
because I don't. But it would be good to have the information if Wayne County ever gets free enough to come do some of this stuff for us.
I'm kind of hearing two things. You've got this report, but I think you need a copy of what we're seeing
Right,
and not just talk about it in council meeting.
correct.
So that's really two different things, correct?
I don't know if we need to talk about it at the council meeting unless there's something really gross going on.
Well,
Because to me, she's gonna take 6 inputs and try and prioritize them.
Well, frankly, every road that I went on, I thought that they needed to be sealed. So that's a scary thing.
That's being specific, but I'm just saying, whatever we write, somebody's gotta go through and do priorities on, because we're each gonna have 6 different priorities.
Well,
Well, at least I'll have a list, an action list that she can decide.
mainly mainly to me, it's getting the information to Jamie to
yeah.
get it to us,
yeah.
rather than prioritizing it right away. It's a observation and reporting. And as we go throughout the year, then we can start worrying about what is the most costly, what's the most dangerous, that type of thing. And I think until we do this, we're not gonna even have a general idea of what's
I
going
can do this whole thing with Westlake.
I'm sure you can. I'm sure you can. And so can I. It gives good, I'm gonna walk, I'm gonna give that exercise for my
Nothing
job.
gets you good.
Yeah.
Well, I found walking it, there's a lot of things I see walking it, but driving it,
Yeah.
totally different. Especially in Westlake, there's a totally different feel because there's corners that you can't make in a car, but I can make walking. So, 2 different things.
All right, anything else on that topic? No executive session. Mayor's report. Just a thing as we go through, you may pay attention to in the news on a political basis. As our governor moves along, City of Baker is putting together and requesting small cities to contact them if any of their cities are having problems, financial problems based on COVID and based on on the governor's restrictions, because they're considering filing a class action lawsuit for those losses for her decision making. So,
Isn't that what part of this is about?
those funds?
These funds are set to help.
COVID funding.
The COVID funding is for the losses incurred by cities already.
Right. And they're talking about further crackdowns and things like that. So, anyway, keep that in mind. However, that works through the news media, and keep in mind that a lot of small cities are fighting back, and so it's something to keep in mind as we go. I don't think we get affected like a lot of cities do.
No, and I was going to say that, the reason
No.
we gave our money that we were entitled to
Right.
receive to Lane County is because we
Sure.
couldn't show losses.
Right.
And I
we're
also
not-
didn't
yeah.
tell you that one of the options for this new money
Mhm.
is to give your employees who work the entire time a bonus.
Right.
I didn't tell you that because I did calculated the monies and what you have to do to prove, and we couldn't meet that, so.
Yeah. So those are, but keep that in mind as we go through. I don't think we get affected, but when it comes to small towns, we need to keep other small towns in mind as well.
We may be asked to join a class action lawsuit, though, I think is kind of what you're implying as a possibility.
I think you may see it come up.
Yeah.
Kind of like when we went against Portland on having to hire our own inspector, that kind of thing.
Which we lost.
So, keep those kind of things in mind. Other than that, Jamie, thank you very much, and all the people that helped you on the volunteer get together the other day. Went over very well, and I think it's always great to try to give something back to the volunteers that we have. And thank you for the hard work on that.
You're welcome.
Mr. Wells,
Well, you just stole my thunder.
ha! That's why I get to be first.
I'm ready for a good one, too. No, I just wanted to thank Jamie and Robin. I'm sure there's other folks, but the ones that I seen working hard were Jamie and Robin, and all the food, the venue, the way it was set up and organized, and the photographs. I thought it was really an excellent job, Jamie. Thank you very much for that.
Amen.
Councilwoman Snow, water quality.
Well, we have not been out doing water quality, even though I have many phone calls of people who want to go out and do it. My concern is that little lab back there, still I do not think is conducive to a bunch of people being in there
Oh, I see, yeah.
with the increase in the COVID lately. So I'm talking to those, and that's my concern is
Okay.
we really don't have space back there to put 6 people back there.
Where is the lab?
Kitchen.
In the kitchen.
Oh, the kitchen. Right next to the microwave?
Exactly.
No, across the room from the microwave, behind the 7 new filing cabinets that are in
The
there.
lab is right next to the laboratory.
Yeah.
And if anybody's seen it, there's less room in there now than there was before with all the filing cabinets.
There you go.
Where the bats are in the cage, yeah.
Jamie, emergency services.
The WeLog meeting was held on August 16th. However, I was unable to attend due to the high number of telephone calls and individuals coming into the office that day. The WeLog meeting packet is attached, and we did receive a box of the updated tsunami map pamphlets and have incorporated them into our pamphlet wall. I looked at them and I didn't see where there are any major changes on ours, so it was mostly Florence that got changed.
City administrator report, staff report.
I'll get there in just a minute. I gotta get through WeLog first. Between July 21st and August 18th, there were 3 electrical permits, 1 mechanical permit, and a new mobile home installation. Richard Palmer was again called out to help with the fires. It was nice to have him while we did. Perfect, because Alder collapsed and blocked the road with all the dirt that came down, and he was here when that happened, and he got it cleaned up, and then he left.
Good timing.
The deadline for submission of the bids for the Parkway Drive project is September 2nd. And most office time this month was spent dealing with water and septic questions, property use questions, and dealing with wetland and shoreline violations. And there are a number of those coming in.
Good of the order. Susan, anything? Really?
My dogs like walking the roads that we look at.
I had my yearly follow-up report, exam, x-ray, for the stint that was put in from my abdominal aortic aneurysm. And as the young lady was walking me in to get my x-ray, she said, "Do you have any zippers on?" And I said, "Well, yeah, I have a zipper in my pants and I have a zipper in my coat, and my wife would love to have a zipper on my lips." And she said, "Do they make those?"
Yeah, they do.
Yeah. Mr. Wells?
No.
Tom?
Yeah, I'd just like to reiterate, I think a town hall meeting would be definitely called for these water issues. The pump sock thing, the fees, how we apply usage, et cetera. I think that'd be real good.
It's not going away.
Mr. Orr?
Couple of things, if I may. First of all, I want to apologize for missing both the water meeting last week and also the event on Saturday. I had elbow surgery and was not in the best of condition to be attending events.
Did you have any zippers?
They didn't ask. I do now. I got one right there. But I'm glad that things went well, and Jamie and your crew, thank you very much. And I wish I could have been here. The other thing is, I'd like to make a proposal. As you all know, I work with the schools, for the school district. And our kids will be returning soon, and they will all be masked, and so will the teachers. I would like to suggest that we do one of three things. Of course, we have some of our students come from Westlake Indian City. And a lot of people are very concerned. I'm certainly very concerned about the spread of the new Delta virus. It's not so new anymore, but the Delta virus. And I'd like to suggest that we, one of three things, that we all wear masks, partly as an example to our students and our families, and partly for safety purposes. If I know there are some that for various reasons are not comfortable with that, so I would like to suggest a second possibility, which was that we go back to spreading ourselves around the room, which I think is more sensible and also at least makes a statement that we are doing something along the lines of helping to protect ourselves and our citizens. Or thirdly, go back to Zoom meetings, which I believe the Florence City Council has just decided to do, if I heard that correctly. I think it's important that we show our support and that we do what can be helpful to limit the spread of this thing, with emergency rooms all over the country being overwhelmed. I'd like to hear your thoughts on that.
I like option number 2 in terms of,
Option number 2?
yeah, spreading out again and you know, wearing masks when we get here, but maybe not if we're 6 feet apart.
I understand, yeah. Yeah.
So, although I love my mask.
It's nice.
Mine's different, I guess, but I have been paying attention to this. And my thing is, it's just how I was raised and who I am. And I've said it at the last meeting, I just feel like I've been lied to. I also keep thinking the narrative from the CDC keeps changing to fit political stuff. That's just how I feel. And if they say something political, then the narrative at the CDC seems to change to fill that need. And I went and took my shot. I didn't want to get shots. And I went and got them so I didn't have to wear my own damn mask. And I haven't yet, and I'm not gonna. That's what I gotta say. I'll do the spread out thing though, but I'm not wearing a mask again. I got my shot.
I think the mask should be voluntary. I've been vaccinated, and I'm a little bit concerned about that. But I don't intend to wear a mask, and I wouldn't mind being distanced if.
No, I don't mind that.
No, I don't mind
That's
the
what you
distance.
want to do.
Yeah.
I think if somebody wants to call in as opposed to being here, maybe
That's
that's
fine
fine.
too.
It takes a little bit more time, I think. But
I think, Bob, I think those are good suggestions. I would go along with 2, but I'm not never wearing a mask again unless I'm going into a business that requires it.
I haven't been in that business. I respect the business,
I do
but I
too.
just haven't.
Right. I'm with that.
My wife goes in, she takes care, I'm just not gonna do it.
I have a couple thoughts on one. Let's talk about the Zoom meetings. My daughter actually teaches Zoom, and it's special, and she's just forced to go to school this next week for the week because, and there's not enough room for all the Zoom teachers.
Oh, is there?
Because they cut back. But the problem with Zoom meetings is body language
Yes.
says a lot.
Yes, it does.
And you don't, the body language I see on those things, I might see people sleeping or going away, but I don't think it just doesn't help meetings. I think it's a hindrance. I think you get things done efficiently, I guess, but
Or when the end user can't get their mic to work.
yeah. You know, the technology's a problem. I think that can be fixed, but we had a heck of a time with the technology, and it was detrimental to the quality of the meeting and getting things.
Absolutely.
So I'm not in favor of Zoom meetings. I don't have a problem with people watching, but I think if they want to come and participate, that's what our democracy is about. You know, we used to have the town square and people got up and talked about things. And I think it's essential for good government to see people look in the eye and then look at me, and we can see sincerity, and I don't see that with the Zoom meeting. I worry, the mask thing, the vaccine thing, these variants are gonna happen. I fear that's gonna be a seasonal thing, and we'll have the wrong season and things like that, because we have problems with flu all the years, and I don't know what that solution is. Masks is a problem, because I think it hurts the expression and the talk and things. So if we really have a problem, we probably should be spread out. But I respect the idea of wearing a mask, and I do out of respect, but it doesn't help the meeting. It's detrimental.
I don't disagree with that, and you won't find, I don't think, a single teacher who's excited about teaching by Zoom or teaching kids to have masks on, and I don't think the kids want to do it either. So I totally understand what you're saying. If we can agree to spread out, I'd be more
I
comfortable.
have no
Yeah,
problem.
me too.
I have no problem with that.
Okay.
No.
Susan?
Well, I'm wearing a mask. I'm going to continue wearing a mask,
That's fine.
and that's my choice. I've been vaccinated, I have all these things too, but I know too many people that have spread it that have been vaccinated. I know too many people that have gotten it that have been vaccinated. I'm going to wear my mask, and I feel much better being spread out, but I'll continue.
Right.
At least the way it is now, where the book ends.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the funniest things that I've heard was about Zoom meetings, is someone saying, would you mind moving your phone a little bit? I'm tired of looking up your nostrils.
It happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, quite a bit.
All right. Anything else on that topic? Jamie, take care of that for us, would you? Appreciate it.
We could consider those of us who are not wearing masks, who don't want to wear masks, to stay up here, and those who want to distance to go down there.
I don't think that's right. We either all distance or,
I agree.
Yeah, and it would probably be hard, I guess, to get on the television.
It really would.
So we're assuming that the transmission is through our breath and our nose. And I don't know, but did you wash your hands? You know, all that stuff. And so it's as much general hygiene as
absolutely.
is it really airborne? And because they talk about being outside, but now the governor said that we should wear masks if we can't in close quarter unless we do the 6 feet, things like that. And the problem is, I don't think we really know.
I don't either, but I don't think it would hurt us
No.
to have a bottle or two of the hand sterilizer here for people coming.
Well, I was just thinking, because as soon as you guys walk out, we start wiping everything down.
Well, yeah.
That's what we need. Which, by the way, that is another thing. Not necessarily the good of the order, but our janitor quit. So I'm looking for someone who can clean the office now.
Okay. All right. I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So,
Second. Any discussion? All right. We're adjourned at 7:15. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you, Bob.
Oh, who made the